going to talk about using gradient map in combination with a blend mode called Luminosity. So here we have a photo that's clearly got a very yellow cast to it coming from this lighting. And what we want to do is take away that yellow cast, make this cooler, for example, or make it more neutral looking, instead of very yellow, for example. So this is the original, and what I'm going to do is I'll make a fill layer, which I've already done, just by going to solid color, adjustment layer, fill something with completely with black. And then when I put this photo on top, and this is just a duplicate of the original, haven't changed it at all, haven't even rasterized it, but this is the photo, but I've changed the blend mode. And so normally it would look like this, but I've gone all the way down to the bottom to luminosity. And with luminosity, what happens is you're keeping the values. So you're keeping the lightness and darkness, brightness values of the image, the photographic image. But then so essentially it's passing grayscale information through to the underlying imagery. And it's taking on color information from whatever's underneath this layer. So if it's black, there is no color information, so it's just going to be a grayscale image. If it was white, it would be doing the same thing. But if I change this to a completely different color for that fill back behind it, and it will take on saturation as well as hue. So here I have, less saturated, more saturated, darker value, lighter value, right? So it's taking on whatever the hue and saturation qualities are underneath it in this fill layer. And so what I can do is say, okay, I just want to essentially neutralize this image. I don't want any of that yellow in there. And I could just, turn this into a grayscale at that point and then do a gradient map. But understanding how you can further control things with luminosity can be, advantageous too. But for now, we'll just keep it neutral, and then we'll go into making a gradient map layer. So let's add a fresh one in here. So gradient map. And then again, for some reason, it's wanting to put white values there where the black values should go and vice versa. So I'm just going to manually swap those back in. But then if I wanted, I could go in and say, well, I don't want my darkest, maybe I do want my darkest shadow values to be black, but then slightly above that, I want this to become a cooler image. So I'm going to do a very dark blue. And then as I get into my lighter values, the whitest of them I want to be, perfectly white, but then, maybe I want the others that are, not pure white, but getting close to that 10, 20, 30% grays or whatever to be much more cool, much more blue. And I could determine how saturated or desaturated. But obviously now I've started mapping in some blue colors, and I could do something extreme here too, like, completely swap out the midtones for something, for more creative, expressive reasons, just get, arbitrary with the coloring. But if I wanted to go in a more naturalistic way and just really cool this image down, then I could essentially swap everything out and put in completely new color information by using gradient map in combination with something like luminosity.